Okay, I think we are still. Achso, ich fange mal auf Deutsch an. Guten Abend zusammen. Können mich alle hören? Sieht gut aus. Also, mein Name ist Lars Wöpke. Ich heiße Sie herzlich willkommen zur heutigen Veranstaltung des Marketing Club Frankfurt zum Thema China mit einem Vortrag von Fiona Cao von Ogilvy, die wir gleich begrüßen. Die Veranstaltung findet, das haben hoffentlich alle gesehen, auf Englisch statt. Deswegen würde ich jetzt auch ins Englische rüberwechseln. So, once again, good evening and welcome everyone to our Marketing Club session on China. First off, a few housekeeping topics for this webinar. First off, in our club, we believe in open communication, and that includes no one being anonymous. So please make sure, and I think most people already have, that you quote your name in your profile so we know who we're talking to. Turning on your camera is optional. It's not necessary during the presentation, but whenever you ask a question, it would be nice if you turn on your camera as well so we can see you. And but your microphone should please, unless you're talking to us, please be turned off. So on mute in the Zoom app. So otherwise we will have all kinds of audio issues and feedback loops and the occasional barking dog or the caring husband or whoever, or the yelling kids. So we don't want all that in the seminar. So keep your privacy and spare us some off noises. We have a chat function for those of you who haven't worked with Zoom before for comments and questions. We will collect your questions for the end and we'll call on you then. If you prefer to ask questions in German, that's no problem. We'll translate that and ask them for you. If you need to interrupt urgently, please use the raise hand or Handheben function. It's in the participant window. So let's get into the topic, China. Everybody has various associations with China. And my personal experience with this fascinating country has been a journey of surprises and adjustments, because things aren't always what they seem at first sight. So it's very much worth understanding what makes China and Chinese consumers tick. And especially in this year, dominated by coronavirus, understanding what's currently happening, what's changing in China, what can we learn from China and about China as people who are interested in China and work with China. For that, we are very happy and fortunate to have a true expert on the topic sharing her insights with us tonight, Fiona Cao from Ogilvy. Welcome, Fiona.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. First off, I don't think I need to introduce Ogilvy to this audience. It's one of the longest running, best known and most awarded communication agencies in the world, with offices in all major countries, including China, of course. So just a few words about Fiona Cao. At Ogilvy, she heads the China brand practice for Europe, and we'll hear a little bit more about that in a second. It's located in Berlin, this office, and she herself has lived in various countries in Asia, America, and Europe, so she's very much suited to explain China to Westerners and vice versa. So Fiona, we're very happy and thankful to have you here tonight and look forward to your presentation. To introduce Fiona and the topic with a bit more substance than I can, we have one more guest from Ogilvy, Simon Youssef. Simon is the Chief Client Officer for Ogilvy in Germany, and among his other stations, he spent 5 years in Shanghai for Ogilvy, so he's also an expert on the topic. And he's the man, I believe, if I understand correctly, who put Fiona in her new role and made her move from Shanghai to Berlin. So Simon, great to have you here tonight as well. And with that, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Lars, and thanks to the Marketing Club for having us. We're very excited to be here. Learning from China is a very exciting thing indeed. And, generally, but especially in times of crisis, I think, beyond learning from China, when I was over there in 5 years, one great thing was that I met actually Fiona. We had this idea that actually learning how to deal with the differences works better if we bring the expertise overseas to Turbulent. And as we know, and especially in times of exponential change or digital transformation, China is actually well ahead in adopting what's new and moving much faster. So we decided to found the China brand practice, and it actually works in both ways, because it's for brands that come from China and want to conquer Europe, but it's also for European brands who want to better understand the Chinese market and deep underneath the surface. So yeah, I was very glad when we could convince, together with the CEO in China, Chris Reiterman, who's also German, which obviously helps. We could convince her to do this extreme adventure to come to Germany. And yeah, Fiona has been a business director already at Ogilvy in Taipei and in Shanghai. She's actually a marketing specialist, especially for market entry, which I guess for most of our prospects is highly relevant. She also has a PR background. She's very savvy in integrated marketing communication, which helps us a lot for the brands that we are consulting. And she's worked for many global and international brands like Siemens, Nokia, Gap, but also a lot of luxury brands like Hermes and Patek Philippe. These brands are also heavily successful in China, actually. So we are very excited about the platform that Fiona is building. So without further ado, Fiona, the stage is yours, and thank you so much for doing this speech today.
Thanks for Lars and Simon, two gentlemen paving the way for my presentation. A special thanks to Franklin Marketing Club for having me today to have this honor to share some of our findings and key takeaway from China, the so-called, a lot of international media and Economy Forecast Institute believe is the fattest recover market after COVID. I think the pandemics is probably the very first time in our human history that the entire world is dealing with one single issue, one single challenge, and then it's indeed a global catastrophe. We are dealing with exceptional challenges of humanity, countries, politics, companies, but at the same time, we have also seen amazing stories of people connecting, governments stepping up and companies contributing to the efforts to contain the virus. So now let me share my screen. So today we're talking about, how can we learn from China, and then how do we make brands matter in such a turbulent time? So if you already have some question or some idea in mind what you want to get most out of this webinar, please use the chat function and let us know. We'd love to answer it. If not during the webinar, then after we have a QA session. So a little bit about myself. I am originally from Taiwan, and then the past 12 years I spent mostly in Ogilvy offices in Taipei and Shanghai, and I relocated to beautiful Berlin last year, summertime. And then you heard about the China brand practice that we are leading. Here, we really want to, help more Chinese brands to go global, and then to help more European brands to seek for growth in China. So today's webinar, it will be 3 parts. So first, some of you might wonder, why we can learn from China, but of course, since you are here, you're definitely interested in this topic. And then secondly, will be some successful cases that we deliberately collected based on the behavior changing that we observe during or after COVID. And then the last part will be some key takeaways, some strategy that we hope that will help you to plan for your brand recovery and to catch some emerging opportunities. So if we turn the clock back to late January or early February, when the virus was first outbreak in China. And then at that time, I think it's largely still a China issue with only a few thousand cases elsewhere. I remember end of January, that was Chinese New Year. And then I was in Taipei. And then I was flying back to Berlin. So when I was in Taipei, the airport, you know, almost 99% people wearing masks. And then I transfer in Tokyo. Around 20–30% people wearing masks. And then when I landed in Berlin, I am the only person who wear a mask. So a lot of international media, they even criticize, oh, is China government overreacting because they just shut down completely a city called Wuhan. Wuhan has, you know, 11 million people, and overnight it just shut down by the government because they need to contain the virus. This is the screenshot that I took a few days ago on WHO. Now we're dealing with more than 23 million cases worldwide, and then the number is still rising. So we are still in a long way to understand the full impact of the crisis. However, the flip side of all this negative forecast is that there's going to be growth ahead. And then Asia will be, you know, more than any other region. We are seeing new and sometimes surprising consumer behavior. For example, we're seeing many predictions shattered by the consumers who quickly falling back to the old habits, such as the increased consumption of potato chips. And then we are also seeing impressive level of digital innovation and brands who making bold move to catch some emerging opportunities. This research done by Kantar, as you can see here, Asia is more confident of economy recovery than the West. And then this whole confidence level actually serve a very critical element for the economy recovery, because this whole mindset that trigger people to shop more and to consume more and to turn their life back to normal, that will actually trigger more investment, healthier investment, more amount of investment back to the market. And then this investment will definitely help the overall market and economy recovery. The forecast done by Asia Development Outlook also support this forecast that Asia's economy is likely to recover more quickly than that of Europe and America. And then just a few days ago, the Wall Street Journal also support the similar forecast that China's economy is booming. You might wonder what's the current status in China at the moment. So China now is actually at a full speed recovery with focus on domestic growth. So people are going out, they go to see the movie, they go to the Disneyland, they do everything. People just cannot wait to go out and having a good time. And another healthy sign that we see is the confirmation of the third CWIE will be taking place in Shanghai in November. So CWIE stands for China International Import Expo. It's an expo to welcome the whole world to come into the market and do business. So the confirmation of this event can be conducted is a sign to show that China is ready to open their arms and fully prepare to welcome all the foreigners, all the foreign companies to come to the market and do business. So now, since we know and we are confident that, yes, we can learn from this market, then the second part of this webinar is about cases. So today, I see from our audience, we have various audience. We have audience from cosmetic sector, from packaging, luxury watch, e-commerce, and electronics. We also have some people from agency, from university. Every sectors were impacted by the pandemics differently. So of course, they will not recover in the same way or at the same speed, right? And then from a point of view, simply focus on the traditional sector might not be the most helpful way to identify the opportunities. Instead, what matters more than ever is the human implication, the human behavior changing. So as you can see here, many behaviors has been shifted. And some might be a long-lasting changes, some might be a snap, right? And will return to normal in no time. And really depending on the level of satisfaction. For example, like now we are using a video meeting more and more often. And then our satisfaction level is actually quite high because it makes us more effective, right? And people can still see each other. So we believe this kind of online meeting will last for a long time. However, when we look at eating out, right, having a good time, then our satisfaction level is actually very low. So when everything is open up again and dining out is all possible again, you see people just cannot wait to snap back to the old habit. However, no matter what, during the lockdown, a new type of online shopping, the e-commerce has reached a record high. And then this is actually something, foreseeable because back to 2002 and 2003, when SARS hit Asia, that was also the year when Alibaba, this e-commerce tycoon, has a giant leap of their business. So no matter which sector you are, after the COVID, a proper digital transformation plan with focus on e-commerce is definitely a must. So today's cases we categorize into two types. So the first type will base on the shock wave, which is the short type of changes. And the other one, which we should pay more attention, is the long-lasting behavior changes. The first case, okay, so in May, when the China government say, okay, now all the retailer can start to operate again, we observe this we so-called revenge shopping happening nationwide in China, and especially on the luxury retailer. Hermes, one of their store in Guangzhou, they reported just one day, they reached 2.7 million US dollars transaction just in one day. And then Tiffany, another luxury brand, their revenue in May has a 90% year-on-year growth compared with last year. So what does this phenomenon told us is that the need, the consumer need for comfort, and then the need for self-indulgence is always there, right? It's not changed. However, this revenge shopping, we don't think it will last for a long time, but it's a type of shockwave changes that some of the brands can be benefited from it. Another case is there are a lot of pent-up demand during and after COVID. So when we say pent-up, it means rapidly grow. For example, the consumption revenue of ice cream, potato chips, beverage, and beer, right? But at the same time, we also see, especially the Gen Z consumers, they actually cannot wait to go out and dine out when the government open up everything. So we can see that, you know, they just spend more time in the coffee shop, spend more time at night for midnight dining. So this pent-up demand, if you take a closely watch, even in Germany, and then work around it, then maybe that will help you to gain some short-term revenue. A third case is from travel and tourism. So travel and tourism is probably one of the most severely hit sector after COVID. And in China, what we observe is a trend of very impulsive booking. So people, they book the day closer to the time of travel. So also the consumer, the value they are looking for has been changing as well. They are looking for more flexibility. They're looking for travel insurance and even, you know, more friendly refund policy. So this hotel chain in China, they're very smart. They offer this full refund on cancellation, and they offer pay first, schedule later service. So this kind of new services actually help them to gain a big growth of their revenue. So what does it tell us is that after COVID time, you can try to reshape your services and then make the value is more catering to what consumers are looking for at the moment. Another shockwave change that has been reverted to old pattern is people's craving and demand for fast food. So during the lockdown time, you know, people are discussing, oh, when everything is back to normal, when dining out is all possible, what I'm going to eat, right? So people are talking a lot on the social platform. So KFC China, they listen to all this social sentiment and they act accordingly. So what did they do is they designed this new so-called back to work lunch menu. So they combine all these favorites and most mentioned meal mentioned by this audience and then package as one new menu. And then this successful catch of social sentiment actually helped KFC China to generate a 40% year-on-year growth of the first quarter. Okay, then some cases from long-lasting changes. Automobile. So research told us 77%, wow, very high. People think that the main reason to buy a new car is to reduce the risk of COVID infections. So Volvo China, this case I also think very smart. The way they sell one of their product, instead of focusing on, you know, those traditional auto spec, what they did is they promote specially the air conditioner of the car that feature germ filters. So they kind of make and market their product, their car, as hygiene and very self cocoon to help people to go around the city. So the results also show it's working because they have a 20% year-on-year growth in China market. So reframe your features and then make it relevant to current situation will actually help you sell more. Cosmetics. So with a recovery of daily life and, you know, going out, we predict some personal care and beauty will catch up. So MAC, for example, what they did is they catch this mask makeup trend. They provide tutorial of eye makeup on social platform, and because people now are mandatory to wear masks most of the time, So they're providing this tutorial focused on eye makeup that help them to generate more engagement and talkability on social platform, and then trigger more product sales. And then the other healthcare brands is called Avena. What they did is there actually is a skin repair product. So how they market is, now when you're wearing mask, they said one of the elements of the skin repair can help you eliminate the mark after you wear the mask for too long. So actually the product of MAC or Avena, these are not new product and these are not new feature. But the old desire of, you know, women trying to be pretty and, you know, doesn't want any mark on the face, it still matter. So if the brands, they can offer new solutions and market in a new message, then it's also working for the market. The last case is from an app. So this app is called Meituan. So Meituan is the top 2 lifestyle app in China with 100 million daily active user. So their core business is food delivery, hotel booking, and car sharing. So although, see, they have 100 million daily active user, it's already a very successful app. But what they do additional is, after the COVID, they know people care a lot about hygiene, and then the physical protection matter to most of the consumers when they book the hotel. So they launched this campaign called Safe Trip. So they launched this campaign by partnering with 200,000 hotels and Airbnbs, and then asked them to commit to extra hygiene and extra cleanliness. So this extra commitment with all these partners helped Meituan drive almost 2 times, 1.6 times booking after the COVID. So leverage the need and concern of hygiene and safety. These will have all the sectors to sell more. And about some key takeaway and strategy, you know, how we can make brands recover better or faster. I don't want to make it too tutorial. So this 4 strategy is actually something we summarize from all these successful cases we observe. And I'm gonna go through one by one. So the first one, keep your brands salient. So what does that mean? In a simple word, is keep investing and keep making noise, keep making exposure in the market. And by doing so, you're gonna get more earned exposure and talkability. So the history data, a lot of history data told us and prove that the brands who sustain investment throughout a crisis will increase in market share and rebound faster and stronger in recovery. And secondly is to prime your momentum. So prime here is actually mean optimize, right? So with now everybody has limited resources, and then how to smartly relocate your budget is the key. So few things we can do. First, try to spend more effort on your CRM tool and identify the categories and segments that will most benefit from the upcoming pent-up demand or economy stimulus, right? Like German government, there are a lot of stimulus policy launching from time to time. So catch that new stimulus and catch the pent-up demand that you observe, and identify the category that can best bring revenue out of it. And secondly, it's also smart to work with your media agency to relocate your budget and even secure some quality ad stock that probably before COVID time, it's too far reach for you. And now because of the pandemics, actually some quality ad stock is more available for the brands. The third one, more than 80% of people, they try at least one new service during COVID time. Because of lockdown, it probably forced many people to try something they've never used before. And then the highest is actually online medical consultancy, followed by online education. Both have, almost 1/3 of people trying the new services. So what does it tell us? That again, leveraging your CRM tool, and then you have more opportunity to change the follower of your social platform into a first tryout, or even can convert the first tryout into your regular consumers. The last strategy, it's about digital transformation. So one thing I observed that has a big discrepancy between China and Europe is that the overall digital and e-commerce landscape. So while I was living in Shanghai, the last 3 years from 2016 to 2019, I almost don't see any cash 24/7. I don't need to bring cash and I can, get by. However, when I moved to Berlin, I think the retailer and the consumer here, they still prefer to pay with cash. So that's a very fundamental different culture of commerce. However, what I don't see as a big difference is that after COVID time, people did start to spend more time and have more confidence to buy stuff on digital world or on e-commerce side. So what does it tell us? That because of the COVID, the digital transformation is a must, and the marketplace has been changed. So beware at people who are right now. If they spend more time on long video, short video, those video platforms, and then they spend more time on online education, be there and then shift your social or digital communication strategy around it. And then try to be there and then to communicate with your consumers more effectively. So last, I would like to summarize today's webinar with a few key takeaways that we can learn from China. So first, act quickly. So brands act quickly to catch the short-term changes. So people has new demand because of the COVID, and people has new needs, and try to be sensitive and understand those needs and offer what's relevant. Secondly, the overall marketplace has been transforming, right? So even in Germany, where people prefer to buy things offline, it's time to revisit your e-commerce and your CRM and even your social commerce plan to catch the new consumption trend. Third, there are a lot of behaviors has been shifted. Don't mix up the short-term behavior with the long-lasting one. So those dramatic changes might yield some revenue for the brand. However, do plan and spend more efforts on the long-term behavior shift. Fourth, the safety comes first right now. So invest more on hygiene-driven costs will be a very smart move. Fifth, the old desires still matter. Some desires, like the needs of comfort, the need of self-indulgence, women like to be pretty, these will always be there. As a brand, we just need to be more sensitive to the new values that matter to the consumers. Last, be agile and be very flexible. So the whole idea of having choices and control matter to most of the consumers. So just make it easy for the people to make decision to choose your product or services. So that would be all for my today's sharing. I hope it's shed some light for your brand recovery planning and help you to catch some potential opportunity after COVID time. So feel free to write me email if you have any questions or add me on LinkedIn. We would love to discuss and exchange any ideas that you might have or questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Fiona. That was a great presentation.
Thank you. Is it Mariana?
Yes.
Hi. So back to Lars.
I think Lars, you're muted.
I'm talking without a microphone. I'm sorry.
Ah.
Beginner's error. So also from my side, thank you very much, Fiona, for these for the fascinating presentation. We got a lot of very interesting insights and tips from you. I learned a new term, revenge shopping. Interesting. And well, we already have a few questions trickling in. If you would like to ask your question now in writing or in person, please drop a note in the chat. Maybe I'll kick it off with one question from my side.
Sure.
And that is, Fiona, what do you see as typical marketing mistakes made by German or Western brands who want to enter the Chinese market?
I think I will answer this way. I think it's, instead of a mistake, I would say it's a big overlook. So most of the international brands, when they enter China, they think in a very Western mindset, right? They try to do things right. They try to do a perfect marketing plan, a perfect content, right? Optimize all this consumer relationship. But one big thing they, most of them overlook is the importance of maintaining the good relationship with China government. So sometimes they only allocate a very teeny tiny budget in PR department, not even allocate the budget for public affair. So that's the biggest overlook that I saw from most of the international brands who want to grow a business in China. Because in China, if you don't have Chinese government relationship, it's very hard that you can have a sustainable business model in China.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. I have a question from the audience that I would like to read. And that is from Anna Poreba from Livon Group. And she asked me to read this one. Are you familiar with the Acris brand case? That's a Swiss high-end fashion case. Apparently they had a 12-year-long battle against some trademark application in China. If you are familiar with this one or similar ones. So the question is, in your opinion, could this have been prevented? And maybe you already gave a hint in your previous answer. And what is the current best practice to minimize such risk factors?
Yeah, there are a lot of similar trademark, corporate identity lawsuit in China. I think it also echoed to my first point, is that the China government relationship, how important it is for most of the international brands. I'm not specifically familiar with the brand that Anna mentioned. However, you might heard about, I think the oldest one is Michael Jordan brand, and then recently is the Muji brand from Japan. I have to say, in my not be completely preventable, because there are a lot of we so-called corporate identity rat, right? They just randomly select any brand they can find online. They probably don't even know what's Muji. They don't even know what's Michael Jordan. No, but they just search and then they try to apply it, a official identity in their own city or in their own state. That's what they do. So we call them CI rat. So when there's a lawsuit, of course, they have planned it and subscribed the identity for years. So that's why most of the lawsuit is just very hard to win, right? Because there's a gray area in the overall CI law in China. But what the brands right now, they're being more cautious because they saw all these cases. So I think these will be a very important lessons for most of the international brands, is that before you enter the market or before you spend a massive investment, do spend more time to consult the local PA expert to avoid that will be the part I think you can avoid with, or at least you can prepare a certain budget to deal with that kind of issues.
Great, thank you. We have currently one more question from an unidentified source, PGROE. Would you tell us who you are?
I will, if you can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah, Peter Gröndal. Sorry to use that abbreviation. On your last chart, Fiona, you mentioned act fast, referring to time competition. And my question is, do you think that China's time advance in fighting COVID-19 will translate into competitive advantages for Chinese brands?
That's a very good question. I think it's all related, right? The government, how they contain the virus so that the whole economy right now can return back to normal faster. The factory can open up, the production line can open up. So I think definitely it will help the brands, the Chinese brands, to rebound faster than, for example, the brands in Germany. So yeah, I do believe so. Time is indeed money at the moment. And then the China government, the way they contain the virus is only working in China. You cannot lock down a 11 million people city overnight. No, it's definitely not happening here. It's not happening in anywhere. So I would say yes, but I think if we look back to German market, I think German government also contained the virus in their own way, and they had a very substantially good result. So I think different market, they have their own speed to contain the virus. So what China did is, yes, it will help their enterprise to go back to normal, but I don't think it's adapt to other market or other enterprise.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure. Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay. I guess, also my name is David Hartmann. I have lived already in Taipei and China and Shanghai and know the situation a bit. So in my opinion, China as a country is getting a big advantage compared to Germany and other Western countries, because China was able to really build up a digital infrastructure, and they were really able to switch during COVID in all the areas from health, commerce, education. They really could switch in this digital infrastructure. And we are in Germany we are still struggling with that. And what I also see that right now, after COVID, so China is really pushing innovation forward like crazy. So if I'm talking to all my colleagues in China, it's an incredible speed how they go forward. And we are still thinking how bad is the situation here. And China has a completely different mindset to deal with the changes. So this is a situation, and they are pragmatic going forward. And this is where I'm thinking this will be a huge issue to discuss how we can build up a better digital infrastructure in Germany, and also how we can change our mindset in the future to be more experimental, to be more open for innovation. So this is what you really see in China.
Yeah, echo to that, but I also want to add a layer of optimistic.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a different culture to, let's say, privacy, right? Let's say human rights, you know, all this different layer, this different culture in Europe or the Western world. But I do see it in a very positive way, is that because of COVID, people start to change. And I believe most of the enterprise brands or even government, everyone is now thinking and trying to do more technology transformation. Like the whole digital transformation, we believe it will happen more drastically in Europe than it is in China, because in Asia, right, in China specifically, it's led by government that they need to undergo all this transformation. It's a government project. So that's why it makes things move so fast, because, you know, all the banks, everything, you have to support this policy. But in Europe or in Western world, it takes like a bottom up consensus that we need to do this. So yes, it might take more time here, but I do believe it's the speed that is the speed that's appropriate and for the market, for the people, for the culture here.
Yeah, it's not only government in China, it's a mixture, the interplay of government and private digital companies, which creates this mixture, that this magic cocktail that it's going forward. So this is what I experience here. And already in Germany, you have the discussion, what is the role of the government? Do we have more industrial policies? Do we need that? Okay, this is also a reaction on what is happening in Asia right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see any other questions unless someone's raising their hand spontaneously. Not the case, but we do have your, oh, Simon?
Yeah, if I may, first of all, I totally echo what just has been said. I think if we analyze a little bit where also this advantage comes from, oftentimes it's a leapfrog effect, right? So, for example, for China, it was also easier to become a digital transformation champion because, you know, there was an extreme development in the last 30 years, starting from nothing. So, for example, if in a population where, let's say, you go from, you know, a middle class that is just to start rising, where people go from no fixed line telephone to 5G directly, instead of going to the whole evolution, you know, it's the same thing that we see in Africa, where people don't have, let's say, they don't have a bank account, but they have a mobile phone which they use to actually do transactions. And it's a bit of a difficult comparison, but I think that the opportunity for Germany lies in the fact that we've been extremely behind, but we've been so behind that now maybe we can also do the leapfrog and say, okay, we take this opportunity, as Fiona said, to completely change the game again. And then, you know, we might not have the same scale and the same volume, but I think if we take the opportunity, then we can also become competitive again, at least in a European context.
I mean, if you read the newspaper from today, you see that Swiss insurance company hired the CDO from Pingan. I mean, this is the most digitalized insurance company in the world. No, but I would like to have another question for Fiona, if it's okay.
Right.
So you talk about that Chinese brands are coming to Europe, and I know this is always a huge dream to go global, but there was some pullbacks for the COVID crisis. How do you see when will the big digital brands arrive in Western, or do they cancel the plan, more going maybe to Asia right now because of the political picture? What is with the plans for Chinese companies to go west until the new conditions?
That's another good question. So I think the COVID did impact Chinese brands go global. And then today I only want to talk about Europe. Don't want to talk about US.
Yeah.
But regardless the trade war, of course, it has a huge impact. But the COVID, now the Chinese brands, we don't see them stop. Yes, there's a smaller scale of investment, but they never stop going global or say investing in Europe. We see brands continue, doing marketing asset, creating marketing asset, opening flagship store, investing on social platforms, adding social media. They never stop. That's what I observe from all these Chinese brands. Compare with some Western brands, maybe they might go dark for several months because of the COVID. So European markets are still very important for Chinese enterprise, but the COVID made them just skeptical a little bit. Should I invest so much at the moment, or should I wait? That's the only hinder. But other than that, non-stop, still very strong.
Yeah, it's a very dynamic place. I think we have to wrap it up at this point. If there are more questions, we saw your email, and we can find you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you very much, Fiona, for sharing your insights. Thanks to the Ogilvy team overall for making this possible, Simon and Sandra. And thanks to Vanessa from the Marketing Club. And thanks everyone for joining tonight's webinar.